We got a Stark reunion this week, you guys, and welcome to my review of Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4. This episode, you guys, wow, another stunning episode. It just keeps getting better and better and better. And you know what? Everybody who was bitching about last week's episode, the fact that we didn't get an extended Casterly Rock fight sequence or battle, and yeah, no battle at Highgarden. Yeah, I hope you guys are happy this week because we definitely got a humongous battle, and I guess we can assume this is where the budget for the season went. It went to this entire battle this week. So yeah, you guys, I don't want to jump to the battle just yet. We'll save that for the very end of this review. So yeah, I got my list of notes here this week. Let's go through it. So much to talk about and hash out, and maybe some things to analyze a little bit deeper. And just as a warning, I may say the F word a couple times in this review. There was just so many WTF moments that I might just have the F word flying all over this video. So let's start off with King's Landing. We don't have too much to talk about as far as Stacie and the Iron Bank is concerned. Just a very brief scene. But you know, the big thing that we're seeing with this scene is definitely Cersei's confidence at a new high, her feeling like she is so many steps ahead in this game right now. She has just won thing after thing after thing, you know. And yeah, the big thing that she won last week was obviously Highgarden. She destroyed Alaria Sand and the Sand Snakes. She got that out of the way, plus getting rid of another enemy with Lady Olenna. And what we ultimately find out, that money, that, you know, all the vast treasure hold that is at Highgarden, that's what Cersei is planning on giving to the Iron Bank as payments for the Lannister debt. So yeah, just that confidence, you know, that ultimate confidence within Cersei that she has won, everything is going according to plan, and including paying off the Lannister debt. And the man from the Iron Bank, played by Mark Gatiss, what is the character name? Tycho Nestoris, I think is how it's pronounced. You know, speaking of Mark Gatiss, I really love him in this role. He's just doing such an amazing job. You can clearly tell he's having so much fun playing the role. And yeah, it's like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, what we can ultimately assume is that the Iron Bank, they are about the Iron Bank. You know, they are playing for themselves. It doesn't really matter what the hell else is going on as long as they get the money. But yeah, I love the scene with Nestoris and Cersei. And Nestoris is kind of saying, you know what, the Iron Bank, we're pretty damn impressed with you Lannisters. We weren't expecting that you would pay the debts off in one big massive installment. And what we're left as the scene concludes, Nestoris is giving the support of the Iron Bank to Cersei, but he has a little catch there. He's saying, we will give you that support, but once the gold arrives, once we have it in our clutches. And you know what? That's a good move there, you know, kind of holding it together, delaying that a bit, because yeah, they don't know if something might happen to the gold later on down the line. So yes, Cersei, you know, you can just see that rage behind her eyes, like, ah, god damn it. So that's it with King's Landing. I didn't really have much I wanted to talk about as far as King's Landing was concerned, but yeah, nice seeing Mark Gatiss have a much larger role this season, because I think previously we've only seen him in like 2 episodes before this season. So yeah, nice seeing the Iron Bank playing a bigger role. I'm just very curious what role the Iron Bank will play overall in the entirety of the show, you know what I mean? Because yeah, right now they're connected to Cersei, but yeah, are they going to play an even bigger role in the future. I don't know how that would work, but I guess we'll see. So let's move to Winterfell. Oh, you guys, Winterfell. I got my Stark shirt on this week. I got the Lone Wolf dies, but the pack survives shirt. And you know what? We've heard that line from Sansa in the trailers for the season, but yeah, we haven't got into the line yet. You know what? I'm almost thinking this line of dialogue, the Lone Wolf dies but the pack survives, I'm almost wondering if that's going to be in the season finale, possibly, if we do get a massive Stark reunion including Jon Snow. But yeah, I got on a bit of a detour there. Where was I? Oh yeah, Winterfell. We got the Stark reunion, which was so great this week, you guys. But before we get to the reunion, we gotta talk about that really ominous scene between Bran and Littlefinger. And, you know, just speaking of the ominous nature in this episode, I mean, every time Littlefinger is on screen, and there's just something weird about the music. We even hear a crow at one point behind Littlefinger. So yeah, those fan theories, because there's a lot of fan speculation that Littlefinger is dying this season, and yeah, it just feels like it's coming. This whole episode, as far as his character was concerned, just very ominous, especially with Bran and Littlefinger. So if you've been paying attention to some of the promotional material, you will know that in a lot of the promotional material, Arya Stark has had this particular dagger that we see Littlefinger give to Bran. And then, yes, sure enough, later we do see Bran give Arya this dagger. So, yeah, we finally get this moment between Littlefinger and Bran. He gives Bran this dagger, and, yeah, just, once again, just something very ominous about the scene, and, yeah, what is Littlefinger up to? And it's so hard to tell if he's being genuine or if there's more going on, if he's playing the game once again. Does he have some sort of use for Bran? And then, yeah, Littlefinger talking to Bran and saying, oh, if I could have stopped that dagger that killed Catelyn with my own heart, I would have done it. I wish I could have been there for her, but I wasn't there for her, but I'm here for her now, for her children. So, yeah, I just don't know when it comes to Littlefinger, you guys, because we all know he loved Catelyn, and I think that's the one genuine thing about Littlefinger, is that he did really love Catelyn. But, yeah, right now, him saying, oh, I want to be there for her children, does he really? I don't know. It's like, I want to believe him. You know, I want to believe that side of him, that there is a softer side to him, but I don't know. And then we get to this really ominous line of dialogue, you guys, because Littlefinger is saying to Bran, oh, you've seen so much beyond the wall, and then something about, oh, to find so much chaos in the world, and then Bran just, he looks up at Littlefinger and he says, chaos is a ladder. And we all know that conversation occurred between Littlefinger and Varys back in season 3, when Varys was saying chaos is a gaping pit, and then Littlefinger responds, it's not a pit, chaos is a ladder, because that's what he uses. Littlefinger uses chaos to his advantage to rise and rise and rise. So, yeah, oh my god. Like I said earlier, guys, I'm going to be using the F word a lot, because, yeah, this is one of those what the fuck moments Littlefinger has. He just kind of stares at Bran, and yeah, it's like for once Littlefinger is caught off guard, and Littlefinger is never caught off guard, you know what I mean? So yeah, this is the first moment in the episode where Littlefinger's like, what the fuck? How do you know that? Because I don't think he knows just yet that Bran can see into the future, into the past. You know, I don't think Sansa has disclosed that information to him at all. So yeah, that's kind of part of the reason why I almost feel like he is being a bit genuine to Bran, because, you know, the whole thing about I wish I could have saved Catelyn, I want to protect her children, because yeah, he doesn't have that information just yet about what Bran can and cannot do or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. Now he knows, though. Littlefinger now knows that Bran, there's something freaky going on with Bran, and yeah, Littlefinger just got the crap scared out of him. So yeah, we end the creepy conversation between Littlefinger and Bran. I don't know who's more creepy, Bran or Littlefinger. It's hard to say at this point because they're both kind of creepy and terrifying. So that conversation is interrupted by Mira, and oh my god, you guys, poor Mira. This scene was just so devastating and heartbreaking, and yeah, I definitely have some questions here in regards to Mira. So yeah, once Littlefinger leaves and Mira, she goes to Bran, and she's essentially saying to Bran, I gotta leave. I gotta go back to my family. You know, she knows what is coming. She needs to be there for her family. Plus, you know, her family has no clue what's happened to her and her brother Jojen. You know, for all her family knows, they're dead. So yeah, it's time for her to head back home. And the thing is, I almost feel like there's a part of Mira that doesn't really want to leave Bran. You know, she's spent so much time with Bran. Plus, there's always been the question, is there a little something something between Bran and Mira? You know, does Mira have a slight crush on Bran? I mean, there's always been that question. The show has never played into that, but it's kind of been a question nonetheless. So yeah, there is almost this look that passes over her face. I mean, to me anyway, what I was kind of interpreting, that she was almost kind of asking him, you know, give me a reason to stay and I will stay, because she does say something to him, oh, I don't think you need me anymore. And I think she was perhaps expecting him to say, no, I do need you, can you please stay? But instead, what Bran does, he says, no, I don't need you anymore. And that's kind of the goodbye there. There's no emotion on Bran's face, and Mira, she visibly gets upset and disturbed, and she walks out saying, the Bran Stark I knew, you died in that cave back there. And that's so true, because there's something about Bran, he is just completely different, because last season there was a bit of Bran Stark left in him, you know, his curiosity and him not following the rules of the Three-Eyed Raven. And yeah, it's like as soon as Hodor died, everything changed. And Bran is just so cold and distant and detached. It's not even funny. And yeah, just so emotional here, you guys. This departing of Bran and Mira. And yeah, I mean, is this it for poor Mira? I want to see more of the Reeds, because we know that Howland Reed, Mira's father, we know that he was a friend of Ned Stark's, and yeah, we know that Howland was there at the Tower of Joy with Ned when they discovered Lyanna Stark dying. So yeah, I mean, Howland Reed, I think we've all expected Howland Reed suspects and perhaps knows Jon Snow's true parentage, you know. So I don't know if we've seen the last of the Reeds. Maybe this is it, I don't know. The thing is, if this is the last that we've seen of Mira Reed and the Reeds in general, the thing is, Mira, she can stand tall and proud with the knowledge, hey, I have survived. Because there's just so many characters that have died on this damn show. You know, every season there's dozens of characters that die, and Mira can be proud of the fact that she is still alive and standing. So we get to Arya, yeah guys. Arya, she's looking at Winterfell. You can see that longing on her face. So she approaches Winterfell. The guards won't let her in. It's rather annoying. And you know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of back in season 1 when Arya, when she kind of escapes out of King's Landing because she's chasing the cat, and she overhears Varys and Illyrio. She overhears the two of them talking about, I think Daenerys is what they were talking about. So yeah, she escapes out of the sewers of King's Landing, I think, and then when she tries to get back in Landing, yeah, remember that scene, and the guards, they don't let her in because she's even saying, oh, I'm Arya Stark, I'm daughter of Ned Stark, and this and that, and the guards don't believe her. And yeah, the scene almost plays out identically in this episode, because Arya's like, I'm Arya Stark of Winterfell, let me in, goddammit. And the guard's like, we don't think you're Arya Stark. And And yeah, they do kind of reveal a bit of information because, you know, Arya's asking about Sir Roderick and Maester Lewin, and yeah, they tell her that they're both dead, and yeah, they finally kind of reveal that it's Sansa who is Lady of Winterfell, and I kind of think that throws Arya off initially, like, wait a minute, my sister is Lady of Winterfell? I think she just assumed that Jon was head of Winterfell at this point. I don't think she was expecting Sansa at all. So they do allow Arya in at one point once she kind of threatens him, like, oh, if my sister finds out you didn't let me in, she's gonna punish you guys. So while the guards are sitting there debating about what to do about Arya, should they go tell Sansa that she's there, Arya in the meantime totally disappears right under their noses. It was kind of great. So yeah, the guards, they go tell Sansa, and Sansa, she figures out immediately, you know, if it's really Arya, I know exactly where she'll be. And that's the crypts of Winterfell. And we get our first Stark reunion here with Sansa and Arya. And it's all right there in front of Ned Stark's statue. Yeah, guys, and it was really, really beautiful. And the thing is, this reunion between Arya and Sansa, it's not as emotional as I was expecting, because last week when Bran and Sansa got reunited, I actually had some tears in my eyes, and I didn't have any tears in my eyes this week, which is kind of weird. I had more of a smile on my face. It was just kind of one of those moments, like, I'm just really happy that these two sisters are back together. And it's kind of a strange reunion in some ways, because there's a part of you that's happy the sisters are back together, but then yeah, there is kind of this estrangement almost, and this distance. I mean, they do hug twice with one another, but yeah, there's no emotional tears between them. They are smiling at one another at one point during the conversation. It's all just kind of really strange and weird. It's hard to describe. And, I mean, the thing with this scene, I mean, where do you even begin? You know, they've finally reunited with one another. There's just so much to say and talk about and figure out what happened to each other. And yeah, it's going to take hours and hours of conversation to figure out everything that's happened between them, you know. So yeah, I love that next little moment. And yeah, they're talking about, oh, the statue of Ned, it doesn't even look like our dad, and Sansa's sitting there saying, oh, everyone who knew his face is dead, and Arya responds, well, we're not dead. And I love that. And there is a very quick mention of Arya's list of people that she wants to kill, but initially I don't think Sansa believes it, you know? We'll talk about Bran in just a moment when he brings up the list. But yeah, I don't think Sansa initially believed it at all. I think she just thought Arya was making it up, you know? So yeah, just another reminder to us, the audience, Sansa and Arya, they have been through a lot. They have no idea what the other has been through. And I think once they learn about what they've been through, yeah, they're going to be in for some massive shocks, because they have both grown and changed so much in between. So we do see Arya and Sansa. They make their way to Bran. We get the second Stark reunion of the episode. And yeah, once again, kind of how it was with Bran and Sansa last week. It's kind of strange here with Bran and Arya, that distance and detachment from Bran. And yeah, Bran, he still has the dagger Littlefinger gave to him, and Bran just is like, hey Arya, you can take this dagger, I have no use for it. And you know what? I feel like Bran, he's already had a vision about that dagger, you know, because he's looking at it strangely, just pondering. And I think he's already had a vision about that dagger, and I think he already knows where exactly that dagger is going, you know, like whose heart that's going to be rammed right into. Like, he's already seen who Arya is going to kill with that dagger. Could she kill Littlefinger? Because that's a popular fan theory as well. Is Arya going to kill Littlefinger with the dagger he just gave to Bran, which Bran just gave to Arya. Yeah, is she gonna kill Cersei with the dagger? Who knows? Either way, I think Bran knows. You know, he knows exactly who is getting killed by that dagger. And Arya, she takes it. We finally get the answer to why Arya has that dagger from all of the promotional material. And Sansa's even questioning, you know, why would Littlefinger give you that dagger? He's not a generous man. He only gives if he gets something in return. And yeah, like I was kind of questioning earlier in this review, you know, what is going on there? Is Littlefinger giving the dagger to him something genuine? Is there something more at play? So yeah, Sansa, she's on top of it as well. You know, she's kind of voicing what we, the audience, are thinking about this dagger. And once again, we do get Arya's list mentioned by Bran. And yeah, because, you know, last week, Bran's proof to Sansa that he was the three-eyed raven, it was him mentioning her wedding night and what the gods would look like and what she was wearing and that the snow was falling. So yeah, in order to prove to Arya that he's the three-eyed raven, he brings up her list because no one else has any idea about her list. Only Arya knows about that list. So yeah, you see that like, what the fuck look on Arya's face when he brings up the list. And it's at this moment that I think Sansa, she realizes, okay, that was true. What we were talking about in the crypts just a moment ago, that was true. You weren't lying about that. So yeah, Sansa's definitely, I think, a little terrified of Arya throughout this episode, you know, worried about her. So yeah, that kind of leads me next into Arya wanting to train with Brienne. And I'm so glad we had a pleasant Brienne and Arya scene this week, because yeah, last time Arya and Brienne crossed paths, it wasn't very good, because yeah, the Hound ended up dead, if you will, in quotes. But either way, that fight left an impression on Arya. You know, here's Brienne, she's a woman, she's excellent at a sword, and I think Arya has really wanted to be like Brienne. So yeah, I think Arya just wants to show off in front of Brienne and be like, hey, I want you to train me. Let's fight one-on-one. And I think Brienne at first is like, you know what? You're a little girl. You're way shorter than me. That little needle over there, that's not going to do anything against my larger sword. So yeah, we do see just this really interesting, intricate little fight sequence between Brienne and Arya, and the two of them doing what they're best at. You know, Brienne doing what she's good at, and Arya doing what she's good at, which is the water dancing that Syrio Forel taught her. And yeah, they are kind of an equal match for one another, weirdly enough, and I think they both impress each other. But in the meantime, Littlefinger and Sansa, they come across this little training sequence, and they both look pretty worried. They both look pretty worried, and yeah, what are they both thinking? You know, what are they both thinking at this point about Arya and the fact that she's not some pathetic little girl anymore? You know, she is a girl with a mission and a plan and a kill list. So yeah, Sansa definitely looks a little worried and concerned, but then yeah, Littlefinger, there's another what the fuck look that passes over Littlefinger, you guys, because Arya stares up at Littlefinger, and they're just kind of, their eyes are locked on one another, and yeah, he looks pretty frightened. Again, he looked frightened with Bran, he looks frightened with Arya. Yeah, because there's just so much that has happened in this episode that Littlefinger can't explain. You know, he can't explain Bran, and he can't explain what's going on with Arya. Yeah, these are two factors, Bran and Arya, they are two factors that he hasn't taken into consideration into his ultimate agendas and goals. So yeah, Littlefinger, you know, once again, ominous stuff going on. Him losing ground here. And I mentioned this earlier, when Littlefinger finally does walk away from Arya and loses that eye contact, we do hear a crow in the background. And I don't know, that gave me chills. You guys, that gave me chills. So yeah, is Littlefinger dying this season, you guys? It's a very popular fan theory. It seems like it's coming. The question is, when is it going to happen? Who is going to kill him? I really don't want Arya to kill him, because that's the theory right now, that Arya is going to kill him. I don't really want her to kill him. I'm personally not going to get any sort of satisfaction from Arya killing Littlefinger, because there's really no motivation there, whereas Sansa has more reason and motive to kill him. I really would like her to kill him. Do I want Littlefinger to die? No. I've said this numerous times. Littlefinger is one of my favorite characters alongside Sansa. They're my top two favorites, so I really have no desire to see Littlefinger die, but yeah, I'm expecting and anticipating it to come sometime before this season is over. Okay, so lots going on at Winterfell. Let's move on over to Dragonstone. So Jon got Dany's permission last week to mine the caves for dragonglass, and one of the first things that happens, Jon immediately takes Dany into the caves, and he's showing her all of the dragonglass. And yeah, I don't think Dany believed, you know, Tyrion and Jon talking about the dragonglass like it existed. So yeah, it exists now, it's true, and she sees it. There's this sense of wonder that passes over her when she sees it. And yeah, as Jon drags her deeper and deeper into the caves, they start discovering all of these ancient cave paintings, if you will. And what they kind of narrow it down to, these are pictures or drawings of the children of the forest and the first men. And yeah, Dany's kind of under the assumption, oh, they were on opposing sides and they fought each other. But then Jon takes her to this very interesting drawing, and it's the children of the forest and the first men together fighting against the White Walkers. And it's such a chilling image on the wall, just Jon and Dany staring at it. And yeah, Jon is saying, no, the children of the forest and the first men, they weren't on opposing sides. They fought together to defeat their common enemy. And that totally rings true in this moment. What's going on between Jon versus Daenerys? Jon is pretty much saying, you know, we need to do the same. We need to fight together to battle against our common enemies. And yeah, Dany, you know, being here in this cave, seeing that there is indeed dragonglass, seeing these images on the wall, that raises something new in her, and she is saying to Jon, okay, Jon, I will fight with the North. I will help you with this. But she concludes by saying, but only if you bend the knee. And Jon still refuses to bend the knee. And you know, the thing is, I'm glad that he still hasn't done it. You know, I'm glad that Jon is still standing on his principles. He's still looking out for his people in his own way. But yeah, I mean, Dany has her own valid point of view as well, because she's saying, isn't their survival more important than your pride? And that's absolutely true. You know, Jon, this is almost something rather prideful about him, but at the same time, he doesn't want to let his people down. He doesn't want to be a failure in the eyes of his people. So yeah, it's a conflict. You know, what should Jon do? Should he do what his people requested of him, don't bend the knee, or should he bend the knee and just let Daenerys do what needs to be done? Because that's the biggest thing that the North is afraid of at this point. They don't want another leader in the North at all. They want the North to be its own separate thing from the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. So we don't see Jon bend the knee at all. I was almost expecting him to. I don't think he did. I don't think the scene cut off and he did. I don't think he did at all. But Dany gets some bad news, you guys. It's like she finally is like, okay, Jon Snow, I'll help the North. But yeah, she gets some bad news here from Tyrion and Varys, who have learned that, hey, we got Casterly Rock, but we lost Highgarden. And Dany is definitely not too happy. She's already lost Dorne. She's lost the Tyrells now, so oh no. And that Targaryen rage just flares up in her at this moment, because she's like, fuck it all. I'm doing what I want to do. I want to take my dragons. I got 3 large-ass dragons. I'm going to go take King's Landing right now. And yeah, Tyrion, once again, Tyrion's like, no, you can't do that. It's a bad idea. You'll only look bad. You'll look like you're mad. You'll look like your father, the Mad King. And yeah, Dany's had enough with Tyrion, because Tyrion has had some good plans. this season. But yeah, there's always something. There's someone who's a step ahead of Tyrion. And so yeah, Tyrion is looking bad in the eyes of Daenerys, unfortunately. And Daenerys is starting to get into her head, you know, wait a minute, are you conniving behind my back? Are you looking out for the well-being of your family? Is there still a part of you that is a Lannister and you're looking out for them? And Tyrion is saying, no, I'm not. So Tyrion, he's trying to give his advice, trying to tell Daenerys not to go burn down King's Landing. So Daenerys, shocking everybody, I think, that's right there on the island, or the beach, she just kind of turns from Tyrion quite dramatically, and she just turns right on over to Jon, and she's like, hey you, Jon Snow, what do you think I should do? And yeah, I think everybody is really tensed up at this point, like, oh god, it all lies on Jon Snow at this point, what advice he gives her. And yeah, Jon, he essentially agrees with Tyrion. You know, he's sitting there saying, I don't think you should go attack King's Landing because you'll just be the same that they've had, you know. How does he word it? I can't remember how he words it. You'll only be more of the same is how he kind of words it. So yeah, he's kind of repeating what Tyrion is saying. Don't be the Mad King. Don't be Cersei. The people don't want that. You don't want to look like that in the eyes of the people, or else you're not going to have a good easy time taking King's Landing. So we end that scene. We do have a small moment between Davos, Jon, and Missandei, and you know, I think these small moments like this, you know, them listening to how others feel about Daenerys, you know, this is kind of giving them encouragement about Daenerys in some ways, that Daenerys isn't like her father, perhaps, that she is a good Targaryen. Because yeah, Missandei, Davos brings up a good point. You know, Davos is saying, well, you were a slave and Daenerys freed you, but now you're working for her. Aren't you almost a slave in that fashion? But Missandei kind of fires back at Davos saying, she freed me, I was grateful, and yeah, she's the queen that I serve because I chose her. I'm not being forced to serve her. And yeah, she even backs it up, saying if I wanted to leave tomorrow, she would let me. I mean, that's a good question. Would Daenerys let Missandei go? Would she? I have my own questions about that. So yeah, a nice little moment there, just really quick, between Jon, Davos, and Missandei. And it's kind of at this point they see a Greyjoy ship float up. And Jon and Theon, you guys, are really random reunion here with Jon and Theon, and yeah, really intense right here. And yeah, what we're led to believe, Sansa has told Jon everything about what happened at Winterfell, you know, the Boltons and what happened to Theon, and Theon saving her and getting her out of Winterfell. So yeah, when Jon and Theon do have this moment with each other on the beach, Jon, he kind of grabs Theon. I was getting a little worried he was going to punch Theon. Or kill him maybe, but he says the only reason you're alive is because of what you did for Sansa. So we find out that Theon, he's come back to Dragonstone. He needs the help of Daenerys to go get Yara back from Euron. But yeah, Jon's like, well, I'm sorry to tell you, man, your queen is gone. So that leads in nicely to wherever the hell Jaime and Bronn and company are, because we see them leaving Highgarden, and then yeah, they're on like a road, a trail. I'm not really quite sure what to call this segment of the review. On the road, I suppose. So we see that Jaime, the army, they're leaving Highgarden. They got all of these wagons full of gold. And we also see Jaime give Bronn a bag of gold. Thank God. It's like, you know, Bronn, he's been working for the Lannisters this entire damn time. He needs his due. He needs his payment. So fortunately, Bronn gets that gold, even though later, later we see that maybe he doesn't have that gold after he loses the gold. So yeah, just a really quick scene right there at the beginning of the episode. And so yeah, we get to the very end of the episode. And my understanding, I had to re-watch these couple lines of dialogue here a couple times a piece. So hopefully I got this correct, because it looks like the army, they're at a little bit of a resting place. You know, they've been marching for hours and hours. So yeah, they're just resting right here. So yeah, Randall Tarley, he approaches Jaime And he says that all the gold is safely through the gates of King's Landing. So is that correct? Did I hear him correctly? All of the gold is in King's Landing. So the payment to the Iron Bank is being paid, correct? But yeah, I was kind of still a little confused, because then Randall Tarley was even saying, oh, we got to get the rest of these wagons through the gate as well, or something. Because then, yeah, because later when Drogon comes in and starts burning everything, I was wondering, well, is this still piles of gold here that Drogon just destroyed? So yeah, I'm a little confused. Like I said, just some of the wording was a little weird for me, because yeah, Randall Tarley is saying that the gold is safely through King's Landing, but yeah, what's all these other wagons? So we also get a nice little moment with Dickon. Poor Dickon, because Jaime's going, Rickon, no, Dickon. And it's just a nice little moment, because Dickon, he's trying to be brave and tough and say what his father would expect him to say, but then Bronn's like, you know what, give us your real opinion, how do you feel? And this was just such a really nice moment from Dickon, because Dickon he's voicing his opinion that it kind of hurt him a little bit to destroy the Tyrells in the fashion that they did, because he's even bringing up the fact that there were many Tyrell men that he knew as a kid, that he knew growing up, that he was friends with, and yeah, that they all just got slaughtered in front of his eyes. And yeah, I can imagine what he's feeling and thinking, you know, him thinking, damn, are the Tarleys on the right side of this war, you know? And yeah, I do, I'm concerned about the Tarleys. Are the Tarleys going to flip on the Lannisters at some point? I'm kind of hoping they do, to be quite honest. I'm kind of hoping the Tarleys flip allegiances and go to Daenerys and Jon Snow. So it's during all of this that Bronn, he picks up on something in the distance, and he hears a stampede coming. And sure enough, you guys, let's get into this battle on this plain, whatever this plain is called. I want to give it a name, I don't know what to call it. So yeah, here comes the Dothraki, you guys, a humongous horde of them. They're all screaming. Jaime and Bronn and the Tarleys, they're rapidly trying to put their armies into some sort of order, because yeah, this was just a break period for all of these guys. You know, that's why there's no sense of organization going on, because this is coming out of nowhere. So here come the Dothraki, and then quickly coming up from behind is Daenerys on Drogon, you guys. And it is so epic, it is so badass. I was on the edge of my seat this entire damn battle. I was pretty much like this the entire time, you guys, going, I was just in absolute fear and terror. It was thrilling and excited. I didn't know what to expect. I was worried about everybody dying. And, you know, this show has done such an incredible job that, I mean, there are villains. There's heroes and villains, but ultimately, every character on this show, everybody's in a shade of gray in some ways. Because, yeah, the whole battle, I didn't want Daenerys to die. I didn't want Drogon to die. I didn't want Jaime to die. I didn't want Bronn to die. You know, I love every single one of these characters. And yeah, the show has just done such a great job that you are, as a viewer, you're kind of in a bit of turmoil, because yeah, who am I supposed to be supporting right now? Because I love Jaime and I love Daenerys. And I don't want anybody to die, but I want them to both win. So in the heat of this battle, you know, we see Drogon he's just coming right on in, you guys. Daenerys is saying Dracarys. The flames are just shooting everywhere. I mean, seriously, is there going to be a Lannister army after this whole thing? I cannot even imagine that there's a Lannister army after this, because Drogon, he damn near wiped everybody out, it looked like. And I think including the Tarly army. Yeah, I don't even know what happened to Randall and Dickon, you guys. Did they survive? I don't even know. So Jaime, he quickly kind of thinks through this. They have the big gigantic crossbow. You know, that was some quick thinking there, I think, on the part of Qyburn and Cersei, you know, making sure Jaime didn't go out there you know, on his own, unprotected, you know, make sure you take the crossbow with you too. You never know when you might need it. So yeah, fortunately they had that gigantic crossbow on them. Jaime's like, Bronn, you go deal with that. And yeah, we almost have another parallel here, you know, back in the Battle of Blackwater, because Bronn is the one who shoots that arrow to make all of the wildfire destroy Stannis's fleet. So yeah, Bronn comes through once again in dramatic fashion with this crossbow. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely pretty worried about Bronn. Yeah, he's trying to fight through the Dothrakis. He about gets killed by several of them. Yeah, his bag of gold. He loses his bag of gold. I like that moment because you see him looking at that bag of gold, very tempted to go back and pick it up. But yeah, he chooses to fight for the Lannisters instead of being selfish and greedy. And yeah, he finally does make it to the crossbow. And oh my god, you guys, I thought for sure he was going to kill Drogon. He does manage to shoot a crossbow at Drogon, and that does force Dany and Drogon to land unexpectedly. I tell you what, if Dany had been riding either Viserion or Rhaegal, I definitely would have expected a dragon to die. But because it was Drogon, there was a part of me in the back of my head, I was thinking, no, they're not going to kill Drogon because that is the largest dragon. That's Dany's dragon. They're not going to kill it just yet. I mean, I don't know. Drogon could die next week. Who knows? And you know, another interesting thing here, you know, Daenerys has 3 dragons, but she only took the 1. So that says a lot that she destroyed this entire field with just 1 dragon. Imagine if she has, imagine if she had all 3 dragons. Or yeah, when she does finally take King's Landing, what are 3 dragons going to do? So back to Jaime. Things are really intense and dramatic here with Jaime. You know, he only has this 1 good hand, you guys. It was pretty terrifying. And yeah, he's about to get killed at one point as well, but then here comes Dickon. He saves Jaime just in the nick of time. Thank God. But then yeah, that's it for Dickon. I don't know if he made it. I don't know if Randall Tarly made it at all. And Jaime, you guys. Jaime decides to take some foolish action here. And Tyrion is watching all this. We see Tyrion up on a hill somewhere watching all of this play out. And Tyrion has these interesting looks on his face. Peter Dinklage did an amazing job here. Because, yeah, I think there's a part of Tyrion that is a little disturbed and upset. And, yeah, this is still an army that he used to be, or an army he used to command. This is still his brother down there. Yeah, Bronn's down there. So yeah, even though Tyrion tried to play it off to Daenerys that he didn't care what happened to his family, I think he does still care. And yeah, it just occurred to him in this moment that he still cares. And yeah, he sees Jaime going off after Daenerys and Drogon, and Tyrion is saying, turn around, you fool, turn around, what are you doing? So we do see Jaime, he takes off, he's going to try and attempt to kill Drogon or Daenerys or one of them. I'm not sure who he intended on taking out. He's trying to go after them, but that's when Drogon turns around at the last minute. He blows fire at Jaime, but just in time, here comes Bronn. I like how Bronn, he just came out of left field of the screen. He just came out of nowhere and tackled Jaime into this water that just happened to be there. And yeah, that's how the episode ends. You guys, Bronn tackles Jaime into the lake. We see Jaime floating down. You know, he has that gold hand. He's in the heavy armor. Bronn, I think, might be okay. I'm not sure. I don't know if he might have got a bit blasted by that fire. I am a little concerned about Bronn next week, if he's gonna make it. I think Bronn will be okay enough to save and rescue Jaime, because, yeah, the episode ended making us think, oh my god, Jaime's dead, he's dying. But, yeah, Bronn's gonna drag him back up, I think it's safe to assume. But, yeah, like I said, I have my concerns about Bronn, if Bronn got any bit of fire on him, if he's in any sort of peril. But yeah, I think Jaime will be okay, you guys. Bronn's gonna save him, hopefully, crossing our fingers. And that's it for this episode, you guys. This was a pretty crazy, wild episode. I don't even have the words. I loved this episode immensely. Yeah, that final battle took up a good, I think, 15 minutes of the episode. It was definitely well worth it, every second of it. And like I said, if you were bitching last week about the lack of battles at Casterly Rock and Highgarden, you got the battle this week. And yeah, I don't think it was disappointing at all by any means. So yeah, just so many things to look forward to next week. Yeah, once again, Littlefinger, is he gonna die next week? I keep feeling there's a chance every single week that he could die. What's gonna happen to Dany and Drogon? Are they okay? Is Bronn and Jaime okay? So that's it for this review, you guys. Please continue the conversation with me down below in the comments section. I would love to know your thoughts and feelings. Did you love this episode? Did you hate it? Just let me know. And yeah, let's fangirl and fanboy about it. So yeah, that's it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.